Ladies and gentlemen, let us have a moment of silence for the comment section of today's part.
Oh god, don't even look. Don't even look.
It's
Just
here.
Can we hold my hand now? I said hold my hand.
You're 300 miles away, John.
Welcome to part 11 of Metroid Other M, the end of BrainScratch Commentaries.
Oh boy!
It's the end of BSC as we know it.
No, it's
And I feel
On that
bored.
note, probably the most amusing thing in this game is what happens when you shoot the ice beam at the lava monsters, where you just freeze their mouth shut.
Though, okay, here's the thing: heat is more powerful than cold. That ice should melt
Well,
immediately.
cold isn't a thing. It's just absence of heat.
Yeah, but that's kind of there's the guy who writes XKCD does a blog every now and again called What If, and then somebody sent him a question that says, what happened if a toaster were to work inside of a refrigerator? And basically the conclusion he reached was that because to anything that's heated, everything else, even remotely, like normal temperatures to them, are considered really, really cold. So putting something hot in a cold environment doesn't really even matter, because the difference between 70 degrees and negative 70 degrees doesn't matter if you're 500 degrees. So basically, if you shoot the ice beam at lava monsters, the ice should just melt immediately, and they'll be like, dude, what the heck? That was rude. Thanks. And then Samus
but it's
dies.
super concentrated.
You can't concentrate cold, though. It's the...
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you can't. I'm pretty sure you can't roll into a ball either.
Actually, you can. The morph ball is really just the size of Samus literally curled up into a ball.
The only effect cold really has on heat is giving it a vector to escape into.
Yeah.
Basically, the heat heats up the cold, and once you run out of cold for heat to escape into, it's no longer cold.
Yeah.
The end.
So, considering that this place is literally full of magma, the ice beam ain't doing jack shit. This has been Science with BrainScratch Cons. Please don't quote us on your paper, otherwise you'll get an F.
You can, however, quote Wikipedia though by just going down to the sources at the bottom of the page and linking those
Has this
instead.
technically been a TED Talks?
Every part of BrainScratch is a TED Talks.
except for our early days when you weren't involved.
Yeah, I guess, if you wanna bring that up, sure.
That was what like TED
Did this
watches.
guy eat a grapple? I forgot about this. Did this guy just eat one of the random grapple points that are
Yeah,
hanging
he
on
did.
the ground?
Apparently, it can't swallow either.
Oh, Samus, I can't believe you're here. It's stuck on my mouth. Can you help me out with that?
You need some dental floss.
Now hold still. Something's biting.
I got a fish.
I caught an abomination.
Highly and Loach, finally.
So, did Samus's grapple beam downgrade in between games? Because in earlier games, it doesn't just grapple to grapple points. It can grapple to, like, enemies and shit.
Wait.
The game wouldn't let you grapple onto the right one.
Well, you don't even need to switch platforms in this fight. That's just completely optional.
Yeah, but I was more laughing that, you wanted to grapple the enemy, but what you really wanted to do, the game thinks, is go to the other platform.
The lock-on system. Mwah. It's a piece of shit. No, this fight is really, really repetitious. You just
I mean, like
waiting
most
for an
fights in this,
opening on the gut,
game.
shoot the gut, grapple beam up, and there you go. I don't even know why there's a. I don't know. Unless there's like a quick kill strat that I'm unaware of. I don't know why they bother giving you a second platform.
This is given a full boss bar, when really, since we've got a big boss coming up in just a couple of minutes, they really should have just made this a mini boss and had you, like, just need to blow
Do it,
up
like,
its
2
stomach,
times.
like, once. Or not make it so protracted. Because this is one of those bosses where you can't hit its weak point, even though theoretically Samus should just be able to aim her beam upwards and hit its weak point while it's jumping.
I just want to see, like, if someone can manage it, like, a screenshot or an artwork of this scene where, as the monster whale is jumping over the lava rock, Samus is just doing the Free Willy pose.
With her gun pointing skyward.
While Michael Jackson plays in the background.
Does the game even let you jump into the lava, or is there invisible walls?
No, you can jump into the... Oh, God forbid you jump into the lava. Because it is such a slog to get out.
Oh, look at Samus. Too cool to climb the ladder. Needs to do a wall jump. All right, whatever. Whatever.
It's the kick climb in another round.
It is faster, and she does have the problem of only having one hand.
I kind of do like the like an in-game justification for how she's able to kick climb or wall jump at all is that she gets a short thruster boost from her suit.
Though,
I
why,
thought that was always implied to be the case.
is there any reason why she can't just have that on the entire time and use it as a jetpack? Or why they haven't added that functionality yet? Because the only thing that would make Samus
Well,
even
the shows
more
are dead. So,
Well, it could be one of those jetpacks that's only capable of short, strong bursts and then small hovers, which is basically what you get in Mass Effect Andromeda. It's called a jump jet. You can jump with it, and
Sadly, we cannot be Jango Fett. Sadly,
You
we
see-
cannot be Jango Fett in his game.
You see, Lewis, you're saying that, and it kind of makes the idea that, oh, Samus can jump 10 feet high make a little bit more sense. Except in Zero Mission, with the Zero suit, she can actually just jump that high anyway. So... I don't know.
But she can also wall jump with the Zero suit too.
Yeah, so... short version,
Yeah,
this game makes no sense, 0 out of 10. Worst franchise ever.
the zero mission out of 10.
Oh, yeah.
Zero suit out of 10.
The thing with the jump jets in Andromeda, though, is you can keep them going, but when you do, you just hover for a bit. And, well, that lets you take aim and fire on enemies from the air, but you can't actually move in any substantial way while hovering. So the mobility is, in a way, very limited.
Wait, guys, I figured out how they power the station. So they had oil drilling equipment in there, so they drill the oil out of the station in order to power the station with oil. It's genius.
It's the perpetual ocean-making machine.
That's how it works, right? After you use the oil, you just put it back in the desert for you to drill it back up. Yeah, there we go.
It's essentially the station drinking its own piss.
Also,
It's sterile,
what's
and I like the taste.
name? What's the name of the zone in Sonic 4 Episode 2? Because desert
Desert?
refinery. Yeah, Duck Zone.
Duck.
Oil desert.
Oil desert.
Yeah.
We're in oil desert zone.
Oh, yeah, you're right. There is some desert.
So the
going on.
grapple swing is not momentum based at all. You just hit the jump button and Samus automatically gets maximum distance.
Honestly,
so-
for a game like this, I think that's fine. This game's trying
No,
to
no,
go
no.
for...
I was just pointing it out as a tidbit, not so much of
Okay.
a complaint. It's just more like, as soon as you hit the jump button, Samus will just automatically go for you. It's just to look cool.
Yeah.
Here's my question. Why are there even oil refineries in, like, the far-flung future? Have we not moved past that particular fuel?
Well-
Apparently not.
Well,
I mean,
I suppose it's
considering,
good- I suppose it's
considering
good to
how
have
much
as a
time we
backup.
have until we run out of our stocks of oil in the real world, it's kind of strange to picture a far future where we're still using it.
the only thing I could think of is, depending on what other fuel source they use, which is probably not going to be explained because really, who gives a shit, is that it would be easier for them to transport. Like, that's the only thing I can think of for why they would need to have it.
Also potentially backup.
Yeah, it's decent to have as a
If
backup.
you, if you found like a continent-sized oil drift under in a planet somewhere, might as well use it for something.
Yeah,
It's not like
I
it's doing anything,
suppose.
just sitting there.
I suppose.
Yeah. Like, I mean, granted, like, I hope that... Oh, it turns out that Samus's suit actually runs on greenhouse gases, and so... she's just polluting every planet she goes into, which is why she blows it up, because it's better to just get it done.
Which causes it to self-destruct.
That
Yeah.
means we need to call Captain Planet.
Yeah, it's just like every seemingly viable sci-fi future that I've seen has moved past fossil fuels, because presumably by the time humanity can achieve that level of space travel, they'll have solved their current energy crisis anyway.
Well, we can't do long distance space travel using fossil fuels. It just isn't efficient enough.
Yeah, like,
Just
Okay,
taking
right
off is
there.
ridiculous.
Why did my speed booster cancel out? I was just holding up.
you
saw
ran
the
face
thrusters.
first into the robot, John.
No, you saw the speed booster. It was just there. It ran out before I ran to the enemy. Check the playback again later.
Oh.
It ran out before I hit the enemy. What happened? I was just holding up. I was just doing what the game told me to do, and I got punished for it. Am I not authorized to hold up?
What? No, that would be stupid.
What do you think this is, a Sonic game?
Man, the level design in Samus Forces looks really lame. Oh, wait. Who put
Go the
that
other way.
there, though?
You know, the funny thing is that by the time this part goes up, we'll have the game, and we'll know whether or not
No,
that
this'll-
comment is
I think this will be
funny
out
or not.
before Forces comes out.
No, I think it will be out.
No,
before,
probably after.
Yeah, it'll probably be. This will probably be after. Forces
Comment
out.
section, instead of talking about the boss fight at the end, correct us on whether or not Sonic Forces is actually out. Because that will be more useful. I'm kidding, we love you, even...
Oh no, I'm looking
No.
at the date. You're probably right. This will be after Forces. I forgot what date it was.
Yeah.
Yo, Adam, any reason why you let the security system shoot at me? Huh? Pal? No? Okay.
Gotta make you earn that paycheck, Samus.
Oh, this guy again.
He's persistent.
Why this guy in particular? What was he?
He's
the son
got
of the tree demon that I killed 3 times already.
It's super mega Heracross.
You
And
son of a
also,
bitch,
you
give me a
technically
hug.
haven't killed it because it always escaped.
But it's it's the same 1-2 punch. Come on, I've already killed it 3 times technically.
No, not technically. Its heart's still beating, John. You defeated
have
it.
a heart?
It's different.
Does it have a heart?
Probably.
Does it run off oil?
No, John, the space station runs on oil. What are you, stupid?
Yeah. I don't know how to overblast this thing or lethal strike it.
It looked like you were about to for a second.
Yeah, no, it automatically kicks you out as soon as you get to it. I've tried it like maybe 7 times, like off screen.
You probably have to do something else to it.
Because I see like you can freeze the tentacles, so obviously something happens. But
Have you tried shooting more ice missiles at it after freezing the tentacles? Because only part of them are
Dude, you don't-
frozen.
there are no ice missiles in this game.
Then how did you?
Just
Oh, I thought
Ice
there
beam,
were.
Yeah,
Oh.
your ice beam, your beams stack. So yeah,
Oh,
it's a
okay.
it's a weird little. It's a weird little graphic detail. Despite you shooting the wave beam, it still has properties of ice.
Okay, sorry. I thought.
Yeah.
Okay, you know what? I was thinking of Metroid Prime 3. That game has ice missiles for some reason.
Yeah.
I think part of the reason that you can't overblast them in this instance is because the game wants to have specific scripted death sequences for these goddamn things when you're playing them, when you're fighting
Well,
them. in the game.
even if it's not for a lethal strike, just as a means to do extra damage to get the fight going.
Well, yeah, the thing is that I remember being able to do the lethal strikes to them in the after game, but not during the main game, because they want to have them die in a specific way, in a specific place, because this game is stupid.
All right, there's a little editing here. I fade out here because there's a hole right there to the right that I just passed. That's actually the exit to the area here if you fuck up the grapple beam section.
Oh, okay. So you were trying to go into where, like.
Yeah, I went into the hole first to see if there was anything there. The only thing there are just a lava pit and 2 lava monsters.
Oh,
So I
gee,
figured, okay, that's
pish
what
aw,
it's
John.
done.
You think there's exploration in this game? Poor Seth.
Not even a missile tank.
Nope.
Not even a missile tank.
No. Can you build up speed booster by running at the wall?
No, I wish.
Speaking of missile tanks, I actually did peek ahead to your item completion in this game. You did not give a fuck, did you?
No, I did not give a fuck.
Like at this point, he probably should have like 50. I think.
No.
No.
I think he has most of the ones you can get at this point.
Yeah, most of the
Oh.
missile tanks that you can that you can get in this game are like locked out until the post game, which is bullshit.
Though there are a couple there are a couple of easy ones that I've missed along the way. I think one of the most egregious ones we'll see, I think in Apart From Now or something. Either pretty soon you'll see what I mean, but
You know,
I don't care.
You know, I get why they have less missile tanks, because you can refill your missiles whenever the hell you want. But at the same time, that also gives you less stuff to look for. Honestly, the concentration system is probably the lamest mechanic in this game, and it's probably one of the only things in this game that I think just should have been scrapped altogether, as opposed to just refining the idea. Because the idea that, oh, Samus has infinite missiles is dumb.
Then why do we have a missile count at all?
Yeah, exactly. Like, either give us infinite missiles, or have us collect missile tanks regularly and get the satisfaction of seeing the number go berserk. You know, because one thing
and give us pickups. Ow.
You know what?
So here's the thing I hate the most about being caught in lava is that you can't jump until you're near a ledge.
Well, it's almost like you're actually trying to move through rocks, which is what lava is. It makes sense.
No, but like at least, you know, in other games, if you were caught in an acid pool or a lava pool, you can at least jump to get in midair for a split second to save some sort of health. In this game, you can't even do that until you're close to a ledge.
Yeah, but you know, one of my pet peeves in video games is games treating lava like it's pudding. Like, oh, I just have to move a little bit slowly. Like,
Yeah,
no,
well, you know what?
if you
Your
fall into
opinion's a
lava,
piece-
you're
yeah,
not
you know
moving
what?
anywhere. It's a literal rock.
Your opinion is a piece of shit. Yeah.
It's not an opinion. It's a fact. Lava is as dense as rocks. You can't move through that.
Why don't you go test that, Ted?
You first, buddy. You prove that I'm not wrong.
No, I don't care either way. You're the one trying to make a point here.
Now, I kind of slightly agree with Ted, but
I mean, gameplay-wise, yeah, John's right, but logically, I'm right, and that's the more important thing, right? Huh? No? Okay.
yeah,
we are playing a video
the
game.
other thing though is that most games actually treat lava as like the moment you touch it, you're fucked kind of obstacle, which is what it is.
At least I believe so, yes.
Honestly, one of the more accurate representations of lava is in the 3D Marios, where you touch it and then Mario goes like, ah ha ha, and grabs his ass. Like, honestly, that's probably what you would do. Like, maybe not jump 10 feet in the air, but, you know.
I was gonna say I'd like to see you try. I'd like to see you jump in and then just bounce 20 feet in the air.
Metal Gear Solid actually has a real depiction of, well, it's not lava.
Riddle Odo, what happened to you?
It's the steel bill.
So to evolve Ridley Odo, you need to trade it while holding a sunstone at night with your 3DS upside down.
And then it attaches itself to a wall and violently convulses until evolution begins.
Bump, 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 bump.
I can't look away.
You see, I was joking there, but those are all real Pokemon evolutions, including the holding the 3DS upside down part. A Pokemon actually evolves by you doing that, and that makes me really sad.
What?
Yeah.
Which one?
In Gen 6,
Inkay.
it's Inkay. I forget its evolved form's name, but you have to hold
I
the
can't
3DS upside down. The gyro sensor senses that.
While
and that evolves it.
while it gets a certain level up, yeah.
I don't know if the game ever tells you that, but you know,
I don't recall
whatever.
you. Also, here we go.
Oh, wonderful.
This is a nice room. You know, a little dark, but hey, you're not supposed to use those in.
Laser sight right in my eye.
Dick, put it down.
Except for Samus and the ground, it's actually not that dark.
Also, why even bother trying to build suspense? We all know who it is.
After that first shot, you know immediately who it is. Now, my question: who first time was actually surprised that the monster was Ridley? Because I didn't see it coming. To be fair.
I had an inkling of an idea after the second encounter, after the first encounter with the second evolution. Well, I guess the first evolution.
Don't waste your plasma.
Because of its snout and its reaper tail or something like that. So, I mean, at the end of the day, yeah, I was kind of caught off guard. But you know, immediately after that, I was like, oh, it's Ridley. Of course, it's Metroid. So you gotta have Ridley.
Metroid 2 doesn't have Ridley, John.
Now it does.
I think we're well past the spoiler territory at this point. So yeah. So.
Metroid Prime 2 doesn't have Ridley, right?
Prime 3 does.
Yeah, but that's not Prime 2. That's Prime 3.
The point is, once we've gotten to this game, we've already beaten him like 5 times.
Okay, so oh god, we've gotta talk about this. Oh my god.
You know what though? I'm so burnt out.
Some people still get really, really angry about this though, and okay.
Well, I mean, for good reason. It's just that this game's been out since 2010. We've had 7 fucking years of this shit.
In summary, concept not entirely out there. Presentation, let's just say anime has never been good at portraying any kind of mental illness, and Other M is way no exception.
It is a thing that forever cements my conclusion that I believe Other M would have worked better if it were a prequel to the first game.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like
but,
if you fix, obviously, if you fix some character, you fix some character arcs or just character story with Adam, because that still has problems on its own. But you rejigger a few things here and there and set it before the first game. Other M's plot.
Now this works. Yeah, now this scene works.
Okay,
Yeah.
you see, I really have to disagree with that because that's not okay.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so here's the thing. It really bothers me a lot of the time. I'm not talking about you guys because you guys are. A lot of the time, people are talking about this scene like, oh, it makes no sense that Samus would freak out here because she's fought Ridley 15,000 times. And I'm sorry, but that's not how post-traumatic stress disorder works. This is... It doesn't necessarily bother me that people think that this is poor storytelling, because it is, In narratively, it doesn't make sense that Samus is freaking out here when she's fought him before, because that's how we like stories to
The
work.
argument I have against what the point you're going to make, Ted, is that it's never been established that she has this at all up until
And
this point.
another point of contention, because I see where Ted's getting at. Discussion here at BrainScratch Commentaries. Perish the thought. The thing is that Other M clearly uses the manga that as a driving force for some plot elements here, and a key element that they seem to kind of ignore is that Samus has a panic attack very much like this after seeing Ridley for the first time. This is before Metroid 1. This is why it works there. And she gets over it and has a big triumphant moment about the manga, apparently, is that she does get over it and she's able to defeat the thing.
Yeah, but
So,
that's
I
that's
understand,
bad
I
writing
understand.
on the manga's part because you don't just get over something like this. And honestly,
But
this
again, that's not the point. It's just that she's in a canon thing. She has quote-unquote gotten over it, and she has fought this guy like 5 times up to this point with no issues.
well,
It just doesn't randomly pop up like that just this one instance.
I'm going to draw a slightly odd comparison to illustrate my issue with this whole sequence. Sword Art Online, actually. And I'm probably like one of the only 5 people who's done this, but I've both watched the anime and read the books. And there's a character in the Death Gun arc who has a problem with guns. It's interesting to watch and read that particular arc because you get 2 very different portrayals of the same thing. And one of the things that I noticed after reading and watching that story arc that kind of helped me figure out what was bothering me about this whole Ridley sequence, like a whole 5 years after I played it, is the anime is very super melodramatic and drawn out about portraying the post-traumatic reaction on screen. It's like they can't just write a thought process, so they try to overcompensate by making it as visually flashy as possible.
well, that's
and-
just the difference between literature and
It's the difference
visual
between
mediums.
literature, yeah, but you only ever seem to see that kind of portrayal in anime. And I'm not sure why that is, but it doesn't really sit well with
Yeah,
me
it
when
doesn't
it
match.
happens.
Well, okay, my big
It's-
issue with this scene in particular, and people's reactions to it more so, is that it's when you
Well,
get
yeah.
it's a
The
real,
other problem with that is that a lot of the people who were badly reacting to it had never heard of the manga, let alone read it. So the idea that
Yours
Samus,
included, yeah.
the idea that Samus would have a post-traumatic reaction in the first place was a completely new one to
It's-
them, and that made their reaction to the scene worse.
It's also a fact that this is a real thing that happens to real people, and it's honestly, it can work like this in real life. Again, this isn't necessarily the scene is tacky and not well directed at all.
Yeah, yeah.
But in the real world, let's say that
the
someone
idea that you would just get over it and then never have a problem again is highly inaccurate to what happens in the real world.
Not even just that, though. There are some people, let's say they have post-traumatic stress disorder from getting in a really bad car accident, which is a thing that can happen. They might be totally fine getting into a car 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, 50 times, and randomly on the 51st time, they can get a flashback that really messes with them. And that's it. Again, it doesn't make sense, but that's because the human brain doesn't make sense because it's the most complicated thing that we know about in the world right now. And really, looking at the scene again, it wasn't as long and protracted as I remember it being. Like, I remember it being like 5 minutes of Samus just standing there not doing anything. And
she still completely shuts down, though. That's the point.
yeah, she does shut down, but
Yeah.
again, like, this is...
Listen. Again, this... Oh my god, I'm so tired of talking about this. But I just... If you want this to be an established thing throughout the series, you have multiple instances of it.
It is...
You don't just do it one time in an obscure manga and then bring it back again in like the sixth game in the series.
An obscure manga that never made it outside of Japan.
That is
You
a
know?
good point. It's honestly, I feel like it would have made the story again.
Like, I'm not against the idea of Samus having it in the first place, because I knew even before Other M that Ridley was the one that did her parents in. So of course, the reaction with that would be perfectly fine. It's just that you're now suddenly bringing...
She's fought it 5 times, and nothing's happened.
Well, no, because that goes in with what Ted said. That's fine. I mean, you can fight it as many times as a panic attack can happen at any point, but the problem is that they don't have those repeated instances throughout the series.
I suppose that makes sense. It's kind of like if let's say the complication of Final Fantasy VII had an obscure mobile game where there was a major character, and then the remake of Final Fantasy VII just randomly brought that character back and made them super important for 5 minutes and then dropped them again. It might,
Hey, everybody,
it
here,
might
collect the
be
paycheck.
similarly awkward.
You see, the thing is that a lot of people say that, oh, this scene makes Samus a worse character because she's not badass anymore because she freaks out. And I disagree with that statement because personally, I find a character who has a flaw and can overcome that. Not that a mental illness is a flaw, so sorry. But a person, if she has something that she has to work through and can still do her job in spite of it, that to me is a more interesting and more badass character than somebody who just doesn't give a fuck. It's a dragon that killed my parents. Bam, 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 it's dead.
There are 2 things to acknowledge about that, though. The first is that, yeah, a lot of the people who complain about the scene are complaining about it for the entirely wrong reason. But the other thing is that, by your logic, the idea of still being able to do your job kind of
She wasn't doing her job there. She just
kind of
completely shut down.
She kind of lets... well... We find out for some reason that's never really explained that he managed to survive, but by all appearances at that point, she wound up letting her friend and the one actually kind of good character on Adam's team die.
Well, I guess more what I'm trying to mean is that Samus doesn't have a character before Other M. Like, arguably, she's there.
I'm not quite finished yet, though. There's a third problem I have with this, and that is if you're going to have a moment of weakness that leads to a character dying, why the bloody fuck don't they do anything with it after this point?
Because this game is not written very well, basically. But again, it's more the fact that Samus, I feel like my I guess a better way to word is that I feel like the hesitance to having Samus having character weakness is wrong, because the most interesting characters have weaknesses that they work to overcome.
Yeah.
Maybe not immediately, and I think maybe if they had brought this up a little bit earlier and Ridley was more of a recurring thing, maybe they could more naturally work in Samus overcoming her.
That's what the main problems guys like John and I have. It's like, you never established this anywhere outside of a side thing that
I'm just saying
barely ever talking about.
Well,
you can't just bring it up out of nowhere and expect it to be okay.
Well, it would. I'm saying that it would be better if they had stretched it over the entire game, so it's more of an arc that's within this one section. Because Metroid was never really story-based to begin with. Trying to fit in backstory about Ridley killing her parents and Samus having emotional issues about that wouldn't work on Metroid NES or Super Metroid or anything else.
That's part of where I'm going, though. I mentioned my problem was that it was so goddamn flashy, but it's all flash and no substance. One of the major things that would happen, like just realistically, thinking from Samus's point of view, she has a PTSD episode, one of her friends apparently dies because of it. Afterward, any person with such a condition, in those kinds of circumstances, would feel like absolute shit. And that in itself would lead to at the very least, a period of reflection on why it happened. This would have been the perfect time for the game's story to actually explain the backstory of Ridley and Samus and why the whole episode happened. But they don't do that either.
This game doesn't like to. This game elaborates on shit that doesn't matter and doesn't focus on the stuff that actually could have character growth and interesting things happening for the series. Where finding out more about Samus and what she's feeling about a character who, to many fans, was just that random space dragon, might have had an impact. But instead, we have to focus on about Galactic Federation politics and mother brain experiments that don't amount to anything. And
But again, my problem with that is that if you decide, say if the Ridley stuff was given more proper context, assuming the game didn't want you to read the manga, and again, my problem falls into the timing of it. Why do that now? Why not set that up in an earlier series?
Because the earlier games weren't built at. They didn't write a story. The earlier games didn't have.
I understand.
Yeah, there is an inherent problem in trying to do this kind of ambitious in massive air quotes storytelling for a later game in a series that started out as an 8-bit, 16-bit 2D game with no voices or dialogue.
Not to just happen us too long, but I'm not saying it wasn't impossible back then. Because there
are plenty of 16-bit games that had stories and
but it would have.
Not even 16-bit. Ninja Gaiden, 8-bit game.
Yeah, but that would have way ruined the pacing of a game like Metroid.
But it tells a story, though. That's my point. It tells.
There was an opportunity.
Well, not even cutscenes, John. There are plenty of 16, not so much 8-bit, obviously, but plenty of Super Nintendo and Genesis games that tell stories and emotions non-verbally or non-textually.
There was an opportunity for this at the beginning of Super Metroid.
Well, you can
just retroactively looking back at that sequence at the beginning where you encounter Ridley and can't defeat him. Instead of just having the player be able to aimlessly run around during that sequence, they could have animated Samus having a bad reaction to it.
You could interpret through gameplay that not being able to kill Ridley is a product of her surprise.
You could interpret through gameplay, but
you can kill Ridley with just the power beam if you want to.
That is something that you could interpret retroactively based on what you see in
it's complete BS. But I'm saying
that's another instance of you needing to fill in a blank that shouldn't have been there in the first place.
Yeah,
they had an opportunity to show. Was the manga in existence at that point?
The manga came out after Fusion. Yeah. Because there's X-Parasites in that too.
It wasn't necessarily an idea that they had at that point.
I believe it was originally meant to be a tie-in to Zero Mission.
Yeah.
Yeah. But they could have, if they had the idea as far back as that, portrayed it during that scene.
And even then, if the manga was supposed to supplement Zero Mission in some form or fashion, they could have done something with Zero Mission, and they didn't even do that. And that was in 2004.
Yeah. Well, there is one good thing that came out of this, Ted. Your prediction was spot on.
Yeah. You see, it's actually really disappointing that this stupid cutscene it overwhelms the conversation, because I actually think that's a cool boss fight.
It's a great boss fight, and to this day, my favorite arrangement of Ridley's theme.
You know what? I actually disagree with that, because I feel like it's too bombastic. I feel like.
Oh, see, now we're gonna have a 20-minute tangent on this shit.
I like Meta Ridley's theme is better. I think it's more menacing. It's not like bop, bop, bop. It's not like shouting at you. I
think Meta Ridley works better as for what his state of being is in Prime, but as a composition, no, I think this theme is much better.
Oh well, you're wrong.
You're wrong.
Wrong. You're wrong.
This version of Ridley's theme would have worked better in Smash Brothers.
It is in Smash Brothers.
Well, it is in Smash. Yeah, it's Smash 4.
That's why it did work better in Smash Brothers.
No, you're wrong.
So anyway, we should just
And we're still less than 10 minutes from the.
Either way, the point is nobody wins here.
No,
we'll see you guys next. We'll see you guys next part.
No, nobody does.
See you guys.
Let's never talk about this again.
Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up.
Okay.
They're in the part now.